And we are back, and we just finished watching 2023's Love at First Kiss. It's labeled as that on Netflix, but Are You, Eres Tú, is the original title. This is a TVMA from 2023, clocking in at 1 hour and 36 minutes. We saw this on Netflix. This is by director Alauda Ruiz de Azúa, with writing credits to Cristóbal Garrido and Adolfo Valor. This is the story of Javier, played by Álvaro Cervantes, a young man who, from a very young age, seems to have this gift of telling where a love affair is going to go based on his first kiss.
I don't know if it'd be like a gift because he's seen himself get cheated on. So, like...
Well, in a way, it's a gift because it's the gift of foresight. So
like
ability, a gift.
It's a foresight on relationships, nothing else.
There you go. Or yes. And he seems to, whether a relationship is good or bad, he seems to just stymie it.
Yeah. No, it's not whether it's good or bad. He knows that nothing works out, so he ends things before they progress too far.
Yes. Is that something you would do if you had the ability to see into the future and you knew that a relationship that you were in wasn't going to pan out? Would you?
It depends. If I saw that I was going to get cheated on, I just would not start the relationship. I thought that he was kind of stupid as a kid because he kissed that girl during like Spin the Bottle or something. And he literally sees her kissing some other girl like after they get into a relationship. That wouldn't be me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like, oh, he needed to confirm it or whatever. I wouldn't have needed to confirm anything. If I saw that, I would have just been like, oh.
But it was like 3 years. So he was with that girl for 3 years. But I don't think he saw that in his initial vision with that girl. He just saw the good stuff.
No, he saw himself getting cheated on.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
But he still went through with the relationship?
Yeah, because he's stupid. I didn't like Javier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was really, really dumb for that. I don't care. Like I said, someone might argue like, oh, he needed to confirm it, but that could never be me.
All right. What about you, Olive G? If you had the ability to see into the future, would you play along or would you stop it because you knew that it wasn't going to progress further?
Yeah, stop it immediately.
Stop it immediately. Okay. Am I the only one that wants to be surprised?
No.
I mean, that's the thing. He was never surprised.
True. And that's why Lucia had problems with their relationship.
Lucia was getting upset with their relationship.
But she still broke it off with Roberto in spite of... Did she know that about him going into the relationship? I don't remember. I know Roberto knew that Javier had this ability to see into the future from the first kiss.
He knew it. He said that he just played along with it because he thought it was funny, but Lucia had no idea.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So he must have told her at some point because then surprising him, it seemed like it took on like more significance. It was like really important to her, like the birthday party where afterwards when they're cleaning up and she's like, you knew.
Yeah. I don't think he ever told her, to be honest.
Interesting. Would that be a deal breaker for you?
That my partner could like see into the future?
Yeah.
I mean,
would it bother you that nothing that you did could surprise this person?
I like surprising people. I probably would get really annoyed when I get annoyed now when I get no reaction out of somebody.
It annoyed enough to break off a relationship?
I don't know. Like, if I was getting like fed up with the person, I'd probably be like, oh, well, this is a deal breaker. But if I really actually genuinely loved someone, I'd probably just be like, it's just something I have to live with.
What about you, Olive G? What's a deal breaker for you?
What do you mean?
It felt like it was important to Lucia to be able to have this spontaneity, this freshness in the relationship and surprising him.
She says, I won't be the boring one.
Right. Being the boring one is not what Lucia wanted to be. So it bothered her in a way that she couldn't surprise Javier. If you were in a relationship with someone that you couldn't surprise, would that be a deal breaker for you?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you're still young. I mean, these things probably aren't things that you think about. I guess it depends on what point of your life you're in, right? I think being spontaneous and not boring is probably more important when you're young as opposed to if you're looking at a relationship through older eyes and wisdom and experience. To me, the more important thing was, does he treat me nice?
Yeah.
Is he respectful? Does he genuinely love me? Are we in this 50-50? The things that you want in your 20s aren't the things that you want in your 30s, and not the things that are deal breakers in your 40s kind of thing. So I think it really depends on what stage of your life you're in. And obviously, as a teenager, you're dating someone for completely superficial reasons, or at least I did. I don't know about you kids, but is the person cute? Do they dress nice? Those are bigger aspects of what things that I really, really liked in another person. And again, completely superficial and silly, but that's where you are in your teens, I guess. Everything is new and fresh and very passionate and alive. And when things don't work out, it's always the end of the world.
This is not, I feel like we're veering off track.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. Thank you for reining us in.
Olivia, what did you think of Javier's character?
I thought he was dumb. Like, he should have at least acted like he was surprised. Like, oh my God, thank you so much, guys.
So
I feel like that would have been more thoughtful, especially if this was apparently the love of his life. I feel like he should have been putting a little more effort into the relationship to make her more happy. And it just leads to the point where he just gives her up.
Yeah.
He gives her away to her ex.
Yeah.
Who's also his best friend, which is another thing I didn't like. I get I could see I kissed her and I saw in our future we had kids or whatever. She's the love of my life, but she's my best friend's girlfriend. That's still your best friend's girlfriend. You kind of have to, I don't know.
There's a code. There's a code to adhere to.
There is. What happened to loyalty?
I don't know. Would you have done that? If you had the ability to see into the future and you think that you saw a path with a certain person, would you actively go and disrupt their relationship to someone else so that you could get with them?
Is the person they're in a relationship with my best friend?
Yes.
Then no.
No. What if they're just an acquaintance?
If they're just an acquaintance, I don't know. It depends if I liked the acquaintance or if I was just like, oh yeah, I kind of know that person.
Okay.
Actually, that's kind of mean. If I knew
that's
them,
bad juju.
If I knew them and like I was on a certain level of friendship, whether it be like super minor or super major, like best friends or just acquaintances, I feel like I wouldn't disrupt someone's relationship. That's not a cool thing to do.
And probably bad karma. Which will come back.
Friends you don't like anymore. Speaking to your mic. What about friends you don't like anymore?
Good point.
If it depends, like if they've wronged me.
Like, what if they did? Like, if they annoyed you and stuff?
If they annoyed me or if they genuinely did something bad to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, both. Yeah. What if you are no longer friends with this person? Does that make it open season for whoever they dated in the past that you could? I feel like I agree with you. I think as the oldest person at this table, I feel like there is a code. I would never get with someone's ex, even if I wanted to, even if I felt like there was some sort of feelings or whatever, I would quickly stomp on those because I feel like there is a code. There is a sense of loyalty, of duty, of responsibility to your friend to not do that. I guess passion overrode that in Javi's head, and he tried to change the course of Roberto and Lucia's relationship, which he does ultimately because then Lucia leaves Roberto for Javi. And then they have a relationship which in the beginning seems really, really good for both of them. And then they get into, I guess, a rut and things change. How do we feel about the Ariana character?
I feel like she was too good for Javi, to be honest.
Yeah. What about you?
She was interesting. Like, if I met her in real life, I'd want to be friends with her. I just didn't really... She knew that he had a girlfriend... Or she knew that, okay, so when she takes him up to the scaffolding, I thought that was like the worst scene in the film, to be honest.
Why? What made that the worst scene?
He talks to her. He's like, oh, there's this girl that I like or whatever. And she's my best friend's girlfriend. And then she knows this and takes him up to scaffolding. And then she asks him, oh, how are things going with your best friend's girlfriend? And I think at that point, was that right before Roberto found out that...
I believe so.
I think he had those flowers with him, right?
Yeah.
So they were together.
Yeah.
He and Lucia were together.
But they weren't like official because I think he says something
like fooling around.
Right. I think he says something like,
she's not his girlfriend, but she's going to be mine soon.
Right.
So they were involved, and Ariana kisses him, and I thought that was just like a little weird, especially on Javi's part, because for her, like the way things are now, like, yeah, people are super casual with like relationships and stuff. Like, if you don't want anything serious, like, I understand, like, some people just, like, go around or whatever. But it was weird on his part. So I understood, like, how she could be like, oh, maybe they're not that serious yet. But it was weird on his part because he saw in his future with Lucia, he thought that they were going to be, like, serious. He thinks that she's the love of his life. But he goes and kisses Ariana twice. And it was just really weird. I really didn't like his character.
Well, it was to prove to himself that he couldn't see a future with her. The way he kisses Ariana is very different than every other kiss that he'd had prior to this.
Yeah, it was something different for him, but I feel like he shouldn't have even kissed her the first time to figure that out.
Fair enough. What about you, Olive G? What did you think of the Ariana character?
She was a kind of like pinkish purple haired girl, right?
Yeah.
I liked her. She was cool.
She was cool. Why?
Because she had an interesting life.
She did have an interesting life. And yet, I also think that my notes here are that make me understand why somebody with as colorful a personality and presence as Ariana would be into somebody who is just bland like Javier. First of all, help me understand that.
He wasn't exciting at all.
At all. If anything, even Roberto was more exciting because even with the stupid beard, he actually went out of his comfort zone to do things in other places and to make a difference in the world, which seemed more in line with the Lucia character and even the Ariana character.
Yeah. Everybody was more interesting than Javi.
Javi was like this really weird book publisher who had like this very strict sense of purpose, and the things that he published, they had to align with a certain credo in his head. And it wasn't like, I'm just going to publish a book just for fun. It's like, it has to mean something. Yeah, sometimes things just don't mean anything, I think.
He was like a snob. Like,
yes, very much so.
He really didn't have enough room to be one when he had nothing going on himself.
Right, which I found really interesting because I'm guessing that he went to this bar where Ariana bartended a lot because she picked up on his little patterns and rhythms. Yeah. But at the same time, like, why would a girl like her, who's just full of life, want to wind up with Javi?
She went everywhere. She did everything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she likes this man who's like the most boring thing on the planet. He's practically a waste of space.
Yeah. And then she tells Sonsoles about it, which I thought was really weird too. And I didn't understand why. And then I didn't understand how Javier came to the realization that maybe he should be with Ariana.
Yeah, no, I don't
There was nothing that led up to that. So I think if I was going to make this movie, I mean, you could do it from the perspective of Javi and having this ability to see into the future and whether a relationship goes forward or not. And instead of having the Roberto and Lucia characters, maybe up the two workers that he had in the publishing firm.
They were kind of useless.
They
weren't really doing much.
Yeah, they were very peripheral characters. Get rid of like Esther and Lucia and Roberto. Focus more on Javi and maybe
Esther was super unnecessary. She like you might think, oh, she's gonna hook up with Javi. No. Oh, she might get jealous of Javi and Lucia's relationship. No.
Yeah.
She might do something, but she doesn't.
Yeah. And then that other book guy, the one that he tried to sign. Yeah, Donato. Useless,
unnecessary.
Right? Yeah, unnecessary.
After complete waste of air.
Yes, yeah, whatever. Agreed.
Because after he makes up with his friend, like you thought maybe like that guy would sign with him, but he didn't.
Yeah,
nothing came of that at all.
I think how they should have structured this, maybe in the beginning, you do like a condensed version of what his life is like, right? Or what his ability is, because you have to explain that, right? How he goes on dates, how he knows from the first kiss whether or not a relationship is going to pan out or not. And then from there, move to maybe just him currently dating women very casually and seeing maybe one lasts a little bit longer than another, and showing that, right? Showing that dynamic, and maybe having the Ariana character sort of in the background where you can see her, but she doesn't come into the foreground until much later, and him kind of struggling with trying to find a successful relationship, because nobody wants to be alone, right? Everybody wants to find their other half. And I think also the trials and tribulations of being a small business owner and maybe fighting with Sonsales, maybe upping that relationship a little bit more, so you see more of that.
That was supposed I feel like there was a lot going on in here that just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like the things that should have been big plot points were just kind of like, oh, hooray, this happened, like the thing with Sonsales.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, oh, she's plagiarizing, and now I'm introducing her to Ariana, or I don't know.
Right, and she's supposed to be your muse, but then she's not your muse, because ultimately you admit to her, hey, I'm an older woman. I don't give a shit about your generation or the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
This is what's going on in my life. And then Ariana saying, well, that's what you should be writing about.
So much here was here, and it just served no purpose.
Agreed. What else? Did we find any character in this film like really exceptional to the story? No. What about you, Olive G? Were any of the characters good? No. Ariana had a great fashion sense.
Yeah, I like
and
the way
was
she
interesting,
looked.
but I feel like her character wasn't developed enough, and I really is scratching my head as to why she would want to hook up with Javi. Javi was very
lame.
Unimpressive. Yes. Lame, unimpressive. I just loser. Yes. I just couldn't understand why somebody with a joie de vivre like Ariana would want to. Yes. Like, why would she hook up with him? Show me why she would hook up with him. Yeah. Get rid of Roberto, Lucia, Esther, Donato. Not necessary. I mean, this should have been Javi's film.
Yeah.
And it was to an extent, but it wasn't told in a well enough way to make me interested. I think that this, unfortunately, is mediocre at best.
Yeah, seriously.
And I feel like this could have gone through a couple of rewrites and just been a lot better. I mean, if you want fluff, this is definitely fluff. This isn't a movie that you have to really think about or anything. But I think, unfortunately, fluff is a dime a dozen. And I think that if you wanted better, you should try harder. I guess it's easy to sit here in the critic's chair and kind of badmouth a piece of art, but at the same time, I don't know, just do better. Do better, because I think that if you want to tell these stories, go for broke. Just get in there and get into the meat of it. Get into why relationships happen, why heartbreak happens, how do you make love stay? Answer all those questions and make these characters more interesting and believable. Don't let this just be something that can be thrown on the pile of mediocrity. Like, try to do something better.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing. I mean, it's not a long movie. It wasn't a big time investment, but at the same time, it's still disappointing because romantic comedies and romantic stories can be better. They can be. And
this is not good.
This is not it. Yeah. It's less than average. If I was going to give it a number from 1 to 5, I would give it a 5. I mean, it looked pretty.
Maybe 1 to 10.
1 to 10, sorry. 1 to 10. I would give this a 5. It's sort of like meandering in the middle. It wasn't the best thing I ever saw. It wasn't the worst. It just was really disappointing to me. Olive G, 1 to 10, what would you give this movie?
I'd probably give it like a 4.
A 4?
Sadly, Ariana
I was gonna
could
say
like
4
not
too.
carry this film.
She could not carry this film completely. They needed to write her differently. Did you have a favorite scene at all?
Probably when they stole the crepe maker.
See, that was interesting, right? There were parts of this that were interesting that would have been nice to see them more fleshed out. Like, tell me more about Ariana. Tell me more about why her and Javi become a thing. Like, I don't know.
Give me a reason.
Yeah, give me a reason. Give me a reason why this woman who's just full of life and light would be with this guy. What is it about him that makes him the match that lights her fire, kind of? 1 to 10, what would you give this?
I would also give it a 4, like Olivia.
4. All right. I guess
pass.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this definitely is a pass. It's unfortunate. We want a little bit more from our romances, and this just wasn't it. I think there's other things that you can select on the Netflix dashboard. Love at First Kiss is not one of them.
No.
And with that, we are going to bid you all a
Good night.
good night.